The Rendlesham Forest incident is become known as Britain's Roswell. Security police patrol on the perimeter of the base saw what they thought was an aeroplane crashing into the forest. They went into the forest to investigate. They saw a cluster of strange lights that they seemed to move away as they went towards them, and eventually they came across a clearing in the forest, and they actually saw what one of them described as a triangular shaped object on legs. They saw this thing suddenly disappear in the blink of an eye, which is how they described it. The following morning, British police officers were called to the scene. They couldn't find anything to show that there'd been anything unusual there, but there were strange markings on the ground, damage to trees, and radiation apparently that had been left at the scene. A couple of nights later, these mysterious lights reappeared. The deputy base commander, Colonel Charles Holt, was sort of like dragged out of the party to go into the woods again with a team of hand-picked men to go and investigate. And while he was there, he actually saw a UFO, well, as he described it at the time, a brilliant pulsating light moving through the trees, and he saw other lights beaming down to the ground on the base, and he couldn't explain this. All those individual things, you know, like the marks on the ground, the radiation, every single one of them can be explained without reference to something fantastic. The radiation readings that were supposedly left on the ground, a lot has been made of those about how unusual they are. Unfortunately, in hindsight, we now know that there was nothing unusual about them at all, and they're exactly what you would expect in a pine forest. They're the background radiation. And the Geiger counter that was being used to collect these traces shouldn't have been used in the natural environment. It was only to be used in an area where there'd been a nuclear accident. The marks on the ground, the British police officers who were called out shortly after the first incident and shown these holes in the ground thought that they were simply rabbit burrows where animals had sort of made a hole in the ground, and the forester thought the same. Although there's been lots of rumours that something was seen on radar at the time, these papers provide undoubted proof that that isn't the case, because we know that when Colonel Holt was actually in Rendlesham Forest seeing these lights in the sky, he actually got someone to patch a call through to the local RAF radar station at Watton in Norfolk, and the commanding officer there actually looked at the radar screen and couldn't see anything unusual. So the radar thing really falls down, unfortunately. There were markings on the trees, but the forester, again, they were easily identified by them as marks that the foresters themselves had put on the trees with hatchets. And this is what they did all the time. If there was an area of trees that were ready for felling, and don't forget this is a Forestry Commission plantation, so they were always chopping trees down, he immediately saw these marks that the airmen thought were mysterious, and they're hatchet marks. You could see the actual sap running from where the hatchet had made a mark in the tree. There is mystery left because I think the initial incident, the one where the security patrol saw these lights in the trees, and they went out, and I've spoken to one of the airmen involved, John Burrows, and he is absolutely clear that this wasn't the lighthouse that they saw. Yeah, he accepts that in his statement. He does say that they saw these lights, they emerged from the trees, and then they saw the flashing beacon of the lighthouse. He's not doubting that, but he said the thing that they saw in those trees definitely wasn't the lighthouse, wasn't a meteor. He was there, I wasn't. He doesn't think it was anything to do with aliens. He doesn't think he saw an alien spacecraft. He thinks it was something military, some kind of experiment that was going on at the time. He thinks that there's some kind of cover-up that's gone on by the American government to hide that ever since.